Going live in about 2 seconds. What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to my channel, JoJo Speaks. Thank y'all so much for joining myself and Dustin for this being our review for 90 Day Fiance. Before the 90 days, this is season 8 and episode 11. I got my boy Dustin back with me. Dustin, how you doing today?
We're doing good. We just had some power issues earlier. My power was out for about an hour, so
Oh
we're getting
no.
through it today. We're getting through it. So I didn't expect the power to
Absolutely.
go out, but we're getting through it. Today's been
Yeah, we just got to roll with the
a very
punch.
trying day.
We just got to roll with the punches, Dustin. And you're wearing my favorite color, blue. Oh my gosh, I just noticed
Yeah,
that. All right,
you're
so a
welcome.
couple things I want y'all to do before we get started. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Press that big white subscribe button. It is free and easy to do. Takes less than a second to mash that thing. So go ahead and mash it for a brother. Also, be sure to leave a thumbs up for this video. Let me know you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out on my channel. Also, be sure to leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the various couples that we're discussing on tonight's review. Also, be sure to press the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And last but not least, be sure to share JoJo Speaks with all your family, friends, and loved ones. Let everybody know JoJo Speaks is out here in these YouTube streets. A couple of announcements per usual on my Monday night lives. I will be releasing my reviews uh, for the Real Housewives of Potomac season 10 reunion 2 tomorrow, as well as the To Medicine news, the new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. Those will all be released tomorrow. So be on the lookout for those. Be sure to like those and comment on those as well. So let's get started. As I told Justin, I'm really excited for this review because something that I wanted to happen actually happened, but we'll save that for the last couple. And I'm sure you
Mhm.
probably
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to
already know
talk
what
about
I'm
that as well. Yeah.
talking about. But let's start out with our newest participant for this season, which I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly if it was Looking for Love or Hunt for Love. I think it was Hunt for Love,
Hunt for
maybe.
love.
I
Hunt
can't
for
remember,
love.
but she was on a previous 90 Day Fiance franchise. Yes, Hunt for Love. Thank you so much for that, Dustin. Hunt for Love.
You're welcome.
And I really did like her during Hunt for Love. I loved her personality. I loved how she just went for what she wanted. You know, the first night she was kissing Rob and, showing him her behind and all that good stuff. So I really liked Elise. But when I saw her in the preview on last week's episode, and she was just going haywire in a bar talking about her boyfriend, whose name is Joshua, who lives in Australia. I was like, oh, and oh no, this is Elise. This is making me not like her. I'm scared to see what she's going to bring to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so my computer is just acting haywire. So please bear with us
Yeah.
as we get through this review. But that she and she's getting into a new one with a guy named Joshua from Australia. And she said, he already had with his parents. Elise is currently living in Miami. She goes to visit her parents, and they're really nervous about her, her last situation. On her last situation, her last boyfriend. I don't know how Elise has that much money, but
Yeah. Yeah. That's
apparently she did. And
apparently she
Elise
got
was
it from
able to help her get out of
apparently
that hole.
allegedly she got it
So
from a
I'm
friend
glad
of
she
hers.
was able to get out of that situation. And things seem to be going well between Elise and Josh. We haven't seen any per se as of yet. However,
That's next week.
as I stated before, when I saw the preview from last week's episode, and she was going haywire in a bar talking about Joshua, it really made me feel as though I wasn't going to like her. And I'm just going to stick with that just so I don't get disappointed later on down the line. But her parents are very weary about her, her making this decision to go for another relationship outside of the United States. And something tells me that Elise is only going for people outside of the United States because she wants to stay on the show. I don't blame her for wanting to do that. You know, fame is a drug. People get addicted to it once they get on the show. They want to stay on the show. And I don't blame her for doing that. I'm just pointing out, you know, the facts as I see them. They may not be necessarily facts in all actuality, but that's how I'm seeing this. But I'm hoping that Elise proves me wrong. And maybe Joshua does give Elise a reason to go off on him in that bar. So I don't know what's going to happen between them. I want them to be a happy, loving couple. With him being 39, and I'm assuming she's probably in her early to mid 30s. She might even be in her late 20s. I'm not sure. Maybe he can bring some. Oh, she's 32. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that, Dustin. You know, maybe he'll bring some maturity into her life and allow her to maybe grow up a little bit. Because even seeing Elise on Hunt for Love, I'm not necessarily sure if Elise is ready for an actual committed relationship. I think Elise really just wants to have fun. But, you know, when you're a 90-day fiance, you have to be in a committed relationship to be on the cast. So
I don't think she's ready.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Thank you so much for that, for agreeing with me on that, Dustin. That's just how I see it. So, Dustin, what do you plan on? What do you this season? I know you told me earlier of Elise altogether.
I don't care for Elise, point blank. Period. I have much to say on, but honestly, last season that she was on, I didn't really care for her because I think that I seen a side to her when she was on Hunt for Love that I didn't specifically like, and to be honest. But watching her on this one episode that I did watch her on, I didn't really see much of her, but I don't think that her and just Josh person is actually going to be a long-term thing. Like I said, I think she's just doing it to stay. Like just like you said, Jonathan, I think she's doing it to stay on the show. I don't think that he's going to be happy with her for the long haul. She's a very pushy person. In my mind, and she wants the way she expects it to be. Yeah, I don't expect it to last that long.
Yeah, she's a beautiful woman. Right. Yeah. I really don't have high expectations for Elise and Joshua's relationship. And I really hate that I feel as though Elise's behavior on this season is going to taint my image of her. Because, you know, she really wasn't like that much of a drama queen on Hunt for Love, although she did like push the drama just a little bit. But I think we're going to see the real Elise, the Elise that Dustin is used to seeing that I'm not necessarily familiar with. So we'll see what happens as the season goes on with Elise. But I was happy to see that she was on this season. I will say that. But
I have seen so many couples.
Let's move on to Daniel and Lisa. So and Lisa are going to meet the king of Lagos, Nigeria.
I think it's.
Go ahead, Dustin.
I think I've seen so many couples fall apart, so I know what to expect with some couples on here. I think I have so many couples fall apart on this show.
Right. Yeah.
So I know what to expect.
And a lot of times. And a lot of times, a lot of the couples do follow the same trends, and so you see a lot of the same things happening to a lot of different couples. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that observation, Dustin. So let's move on to Lisa and Daniel. So Lisa and Daniel are going to visit the king of Lagos, Nigeria. I'm assuming because that's where Daniel is. He's in Lagos, Nigeria. So I had no idea that Nigeria had a king. I had no idea about that. And so Lisa is talking about she's expecting to go to a palace. She's expecting it to be like a Disney princess type of kingdom. And she wants to see, it's like, girl, you've been in Lagos, Nigeria for the last couple of weeks or days or however long Lisa's been there up until now on the show.
She's been there for 4 weeks.
I don't know where all this expectation has come. Okay, for 4 weeks. Thank you so much for that, Dustin. And so I don't know exactly where all these expectations are coming from as far as Lisa is concerned. When, you know, Lagos, Nigeria is not the same as London, England, or maybe even other countries where, you know, they may have a little bit more money. But she's been living in Nigeria for the last 4 weeks. And so I don't know what would make her think that the king of Lagos, Nigeria is living in a palace with all this opulence and maybe gold everywhere. And she said she thought she would see a moat and, you know, things of that nature, things that you would, you know, typically see in a castle. she's expecting to go to a castle, and turns out they're not going to a castle. They're going to, what seems like might be a hut or some sort. You know what I'm saying? It's not really glamorous. It's not what, I guess some people would think when they're thinking of a kingdom or a palace. Like, no, it's not like that whatsoever. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know why Lisa was. I mean, I don't know if she was genuinely expecting those things, or if she's just saying these things for the camera. But it is what it is. So they go before the king, and once again, Daniel's uncle is there as well. And it was so cringy to me for Lisa to say hi, uncle, when it's like, that's not even your uncle, not related to him in any way. I don't know why she keeps referring to Daniel's uncle as her uncle. Like, it's just cringe to me. And then she was in front of the king.
It's because it's part of their culture, probably. So I don't know. I don't agree with it either, but I think it's part of their culture. Mm-hmm.
That could be it. I don't know if Daniel. I feel as though if that was part of the culture, I feel as though we would have seen Daniel instructing her on how to on how to acknowledge his uncle. But you could be right, Daniel. You could. I'm sorry, not Daniel. Dustin. You could be right, Dustin. I'm not exactly sure, but it's just cringy for me to hear her call Daniel's uncle. And then when she gets in front of the king.
Yeah, I don't know either, but that's how I feel about that situation.
Right. But when she gets in front of the king, she addresses him as my king. And once again, the cringe just comes back. But anyways, so the king has Lisa to, get down onto her knees in front of him. And she's asking, and the king is asking, and I was very impressed that he was speaking English to her. I was so happy. So I wouldn't have to read all these captions. I hate having to read captions for people who are not speaking English. But anyways, that's just me. But anyways, so the king asked Lisa if she's going to take good care of Dad. He says yes. And the king responds with, I don't believe you, or I don't think so, or I'm not sure if that's necessarily true. And Lisa's like, well, you don't think it's true? And then Lisa starts laughing. I do believe Lisa when she says that it was nervous laughter. I do get that. I do think Lisa is extremely nervous going through all of these rituals and things of that nature that Daniel has her doing. So I don't think that she was laughing in response to the king saying that he doesn't believe that she's telling the truth. I do think that she was just really nervous. And, the king was really getting on her, like, do you see me laughing? Why laughing? And all this good stuff. But it turns out the king does give Daniel and Lisa their blessing. And also we saw in the preview for the next episode that it seems like Lisa is telling Daniel next week's episode that she is still married. So Dustin, what were your thoughts on Lisa and Daniel's segment on this episode? Why do you think Lisa was laughing at the king when he said that he didn't believe her when of Daniel? What are your thoughts altogether, Dustin?
Well, I don't agree with what Lisa's been doing to Daniel. We're open and honest with Daniel. This was as much as she wanted him to be open and honest with her. I think if you want somebody to be open and honest with you, you need to be as well. So I don't understand why she didn't tell him that in the first place. Well, you need to tell the person how if you're wanting to have a future with somebody and you're wanting to have a long, as we see in the next preview, if you're going to in the future get married to somebody like that, that is not my cup of tea, and it never has been.
And why is it that you think she was laughing? Do you think it was a nervous laugh as she explained to the king, or do you think it was something else?
I think it might have been I think it might have been a little bit of both, because I even know sometimes when I get nervous, of course I've been through a lot of trauma, and I still, I get nervous. I get kind of like that as well. You know what I mean? So I think everybody has a little bit of a nervous laugh or nervous tick or whatever you want to call it. But I don't think that. I think it's a little bit uncalled for. You know what I mean? And I think that these people need to have a little bit of a reality check.
Yeah. Me, when I'm nervous, like I honestly can't remember the last time I was nervous, but when I get nervous, I typically don't laugh. But I know there are people out there who do laugh when they get nervous. So that's why I do believe Lisa when she said that she was nervous when she was laughing. So I do believe her personally. I think that's just her nature and her personality.
Sometimes I do the same thing. So I understand where she's coming from. but I don't think that the way she's taking it, I don't think it take it very well. Mm-mm. Mm.
Yeah, she wasn't taking it very well either. And we saw Daniel get up and walk off on Lisa and do reveal that she still married. So I don't know if she's going to give him the whole truth as to what the sex was of her former partners. Whether she's going to say it was 2 men and 3 women, and if she's going to actually tell him that she's been practicing lesbianism. I don't even like that term, but that's the term that she's been using, lesbianism, for the last 20 years. So we'll see where it goes from here. I have a feeling that Daniel, like the reaction that I saw in the preview,
Mm-hmm.
Daniel might leave, but I'm not necessarily expecting it to. But I think the possibility, there's always a possibility that Daniel might leave Lisa, but we'll see what episode. Let's move on to Beer Con and Laura. So Laura really annoyed me in this episode, and here's why. She told Beer Con that she needs to speak to, she needs like 30 or right. You too, Dustin? Yeah, definitely me for sure. She told Beer Con that she needs to have like 30 to 45 minutes to speak to some family and friends. I don't know. I was going to say, I don't know why she didn't tell him that it was going to be Michael, but I understand why she didn't tell him that it was going to be Michael. Excuse me, because she knows that Beer Con does not care for Michael whatsoever. And, he sort of kind of gave her an ultimatum. She didn't give him an answer, but he sort of kind of gave her an ultimatum a couple of episodes ago that she needs to pick either Michael or him, Beer Con. So anyway, so Lori gets on the phone with Michael on FaceTime, and she lets him know exactly what's going on. She tells Michael that Beer Con is in $50,000 in American money worth of debt. She tells him that, he has a habit of gambling, but she also gives him the good. She tells him that, she's never had a partner to go out of his way to do so much for her. She told him about the boat trip that they had just left from. And Michael's response is that he is essentially love bombing her. He is trying to get Laura into his traps. He's trying to, I don't think he thinks that Beer Con is trying to scam Laura, but I feel as though Michael is projecting here. I think that with Laura saying that she feels as though Michael has some underlying feelings for her, it's like, Laura, you know that Michael wants to be with you. And for her to act as though she doesn't understand that or doesn't know that for a fact is really annoying to me. For her to be as a mature a woman that she is, and I'm not speaking about her age in that way. I'm just speaking about the way that she makes decisions and the way that she's reacted to the different things that Beer Con has told her. It's very mature of her, and I appreciate that about her. It seems like she's trying not to make a fool of herself on national TV by being with this younger man. I think Laura is truly looking for love. However, for her to act as if she doesn't know that Michael really wants to be with her is really annoying to me, and I don't like that. And so Michael tells Laura that before she makes the decision to be with Beer Con in a serious type of situation or move forward with their relationship, that Michael wants to go to Turkey, I believe is where Beer Con is located.
Turkey, yeah.
And he wants saw in the previews earlier in the season that Michael does make it to Turkey, and it's not going to go well. And I know it's not going to go well, but Laura tells Michael, she has to talk it over with Beer Con. With Michael, actually, us seeing Michael come over to Turkey, and seeing them in the scene together, I think it, lets us know that he does make it over to Turkey. So I don't know how Beer Con ends up, being okay with this, but Laura just really got on my nerves this episode for her, completely trying to understate the fact that Michael wants to be with her in a relationship, in a romantic relationship. Michael wants to be with her, and for her to act as though she doesn't know that, that's just so immature to me, and I don't like that whatsoever. So Dustin, what did you think of Michael and Laura's conversation over FaceTime? And how is it that you think that Beer Con is going to be okay? Do you think Beer Con is going to be okay with Michael coming over?
No, I do
I'm
not.
assuming your answer is going to be no. Yeah,
I do not.
Right, exactly. But what do you think of Laura acting as though she doesn't know that Michael is interested in her romantically?
She's a little bit crazy, if I can say crazy on here. I hope so, because I just did. She's crazy. She don't realize it. I do. I can see through it, and I could see it happen. So I could see through it. I think she's a little bit in denial, to be honest. I think
Hmm.
she's in denial. I think that she needs to realize that he loves her, and he loves her with his whole entire heart. Just like
Hmm.
you know, honestly, I can see it through the TV. And if anybody else can't see it through the TV, I'm sorry. You got an issue. You gotta really look deep in these people. I've done this for years, and I'm going to continue to do it. I can see it, and I can see through the people sometimes on these shows, and I feel it. And I can feel it that they're going to be together. I don't think that her and Brecon is going to be together for the long haul. I don't really think this is going to last for very long. I think they're going to get together and they're going to be happy. And if they are, so be it. If not, that's okay too. But I don't think it's going to last very long, no matter what's going to happen.
I'm going to say one more thing concerning Bearcon and Laura, and then we're going to move on. If
Sure.
Laura's storyline is going to be she just gets involved with Bearcon to just at the end of the day end up with Michael, I'm not going to like her whatsoever. Not whatsoever. For her to
Mhm.
string this beautiful man Bearcon along for all this time, just to end up with a best friend that she knows is interested in her romantically, I can't respect that whatsoever.
Neither can I.
Even though this is reality
Mm-mm.
TV, right? Thank you so much for that, Dustin. Even though this is reality TV, at the same time, this is reality. So you're playing with people's lives and people's emotions
Yeah.
and people's feelings. And, I don't know. I still can't necessarily put my finger on whether Beer is actually genuinely romantically interested in Laura. For him to at
Hmm.
least show that, or at least for him to act as though he is, and for her to just leave him for Michael, I wouldn't respect that whatsoever. And so I don't want
Right.
that to be the case, but I'm just putting that out there as a possibility that I'm seeing this coming from a mile away. That's what it seems like is going to
Mhm.
happen. I hope it doesn't. But if it does, so be it. That's Laura's decision. But I just don't
Right.
like people playing with other people's lives just for a television
Mm-mm.
show storyline. I don't appreciate that whatsoever.
I don't
But
either.
let's move on to our next couple, Stig and Aviva. So we start off with this storyline as we left off with Aviva's aunt confronting Stig on some pictures and some text messages that she's been made aware of events that have happened weeks prior to her bringing this to Stig's attention. And there's a picture of Stig very, very close to another woman, and they allegedly have some text messages saying that Stig would love this woman forever. Now, for some reason, these text messages weren't made available for us to see as an audience. So I don't know if these text messages are valid. I don't know if these text messages actually exist. And when I was watching this entire scene, Dustin, it all just seemed
Mm-hmm.
really fake to me. Stig's response to these allegations is that she was just a fan. She takes pictures like this all the time, and Aviva's aunt was trying to make it seem as though that Stig has been cheating on Aviva with this woman. And then this other woman who's in the picture with Stig, her friend comes into the picture and says, so you weren't in, this place with her, or you haven't been having a relationship with this woman. And so I don't know why the woman in the picture herself was not there. Now they blurred her face in the picture, so maybe she doesn't want anything to do with the show. But
She don't want to be on camera. She don't want to be on
right.
camera.
But my thing is, if this is true, why does she not come on camera to confront Stig herself? Why is it her
Mm-hmm.
friend that has to be the one to confront Stig? And that's what makes me think that this is all made up, that this is all BS.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just for a storyline or whatever the case might be, but me personally, I choose to believe Stig
I
is
think
telling the
this.
truth, that this is just
I
a man.
I think that this. I think that he's telling the truth. I think he's been telling the truth since they were introduced on the show. I just think that this storyline here was a little bit staged, if I could say the word staged. If I think it's a little bit staged on here. I don't think it's real, especially with this couple. I don't think it's real. I just think that they're doing this to have a spot to fill up. You know what I mean? I don't think it's real. I think that
I
he's telling the
do.
truth.
Yeah. I feel the exact same way, Dustin. And
Mhm.
the fact that Stig didn't have that much of a elevated reaction to it, like he didn't blow up on anyone. I mean, that doesn't seem to be his personality, anyways. But the fact that he was real even keeled and low key about his response to it, that further leads me to believe that he is telling the truth because he has nothing to lie about. Um,
Right. Hmm.
and of course, this has been Aviva and Stig's storyline the entire time that they've been on this season. That Stig has got a lot of fans, and he seems to get close to a lot of fans. Even though on the previous episode, when Stig was performing and that woman was standing right in front of him, and Laura and Aviva was like, he was dancing with her, which I saw no dancing whatsoever. I hope they bring that up at the tell-all. But
They're going to bring it up because they filmed the
you know,
tell-all this week. They filmed the tell-all.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So,
Mhm.
it's I choose to believe Stig, and this makes me feel even worse about Aviva for her to bring her aunt into her relationship. And for Aviva to say that she wanted her aunt and Stig to get along and be friends and be happy-go-lucky, like Aviva, good and gosh darn well, especially with the conversation that she had with her aunt before she even got to Morocco, which I believe is where Stig is, if I'm not mistaken.
He's from Morocco.
She knows that, right. She knows that her aunt does not like Stig, and she knows that her aunt does not want her to be with Stig. So I don't know why Aviva is acting brand new right now. And once again, it annoyed me to no end that Aviva is acting so innocent in this moment when she knows why her aunt is there. Her aunt is there to try to break them up. And Aviva knows that for a fact, and she's acting as if she doesn't. And that's just so annoying to
I
me.
don't. I
It's
don't think.
so annoying to me.
I don't. I don't. I don't like Aviva's aunt. I don't like. I don't like her aunt because I think her
Me
aunt.
either.
I don't. I think her aunt is trying to, like you said, break them up. Break them up, and I don't. I don't physically agree with it. And I think that let them live their life. Let them be on the show by themselves, and don't bring the aunt into this situation because if I imagine if you and I were with if you and I were with somebody and you had you just met the person, I don't think you would let your family and involve yourself in at the very beginning. I know I wouldn't do it that way, but that's just
Right.
me. I don't agree with having the family automatically involved in a situation like that. I don't like it.
Right.
I don't like TLC that they put it on the TV like that. I don't like. Yes, I know that it's their network; they can do whatever the heck they want to do it. But I don't agree with it, and I won't continue to agree with it either. Thank you.
Yeah,
Point
I
blank
think the
period.
network I think the
Hmm.
network allows it because they've been doing it for so long thus far, and this is how they
Right,
do their storylines. So for me, it's not a surprise whatsoever. So I just take it
right.
as
It's
they
not
give
a
it to me.
it's not a
It is.
surprise to me, but it's not a surprise to me. But it still don't make it fair. It's not right to me, and
Right.
it's never going to feel right to me because it's never. I don't like it. That's just my opinion about this situation.
And as I said, these are people's real lives that we're dealing with. And so, for Stig to have to go through this, I was feeling so bad for Stig. And I feel as though, and I've said this in the past about different women on 90 Day Fiance, I honestly don't feel as though Aviva deserves to be with Stig. I think Stig deserves a woman who is going to trust him. I don't think that Stig has cheated on her whatsoever. I could be proven wrong later on down the line, but at this point, I'm choosing to believe that Stig has been faithful to Aviva. And I understand that jealousy can play a part in any relationship, but you don't have to let it rule all of your thoughts and rule all of your decisions that you make in your relationship because you have to have trust at some point. So, to be honest, I'm hoping that Stig will leave Aviva. That's what I'm hoping. But I have a feeling that that's not going to happen. I think the Stig is going to try to stick it out here, but we'll see what goes on the remainder of the season. So let's move on to Forrest and Sheena. So Forrest and Sheena, they go to this special place that's kind of, looks like Italy in a way. And there's actually a hotel in Las Vegas that reminded me of where they were. Now in this hotel in Vegas is a lot smaller, but it's still a beautiful sight to see. And so everything is very romantic. They get on a boat and they're seeing all the sights and things of that nature. They dress up as king and queen, and it's really cute. And Forrest proposes to Sheena. Now, this took me by surprise, even though when he started talking to her, I saw where it was going. But to Forrest's credit, he did let his mother know that he wanted to propose to her. Of course, he didn't tell her when he was going to propose to her, but he did warn his mother that he was going to propose. So when Sheena and Forrest, of course, Sheena accepted the proposal. So when Sheena and Forrest get back to Forrest's parents and he shares the information with them, of course, Forrest's mother goes off the handle. And, of course, I'm not surprised. And I feel as though Forrest's mother has every right to feel the way that she feels because she wants to protect Forrest. And the fact that all of these lies have come out about Sheena recently in the within the last couple of days while they've been in the Philippines, I understand why Forrest's mother is not trusting that Sheena is the right one for her son. But in this episode, we saw Sheena kind of speak up to Forrest's mother, and then Forrest kind of spoke up about Forrest's about his mother's reaction and her behavior as well. I can't remember his exact words, but it bordered the line of disrespect, at least in my opinion, because you have to have respect for your parents, no matter how they treat you. You don't have to like them necessarily. You can treat them the way that you want to, but the way that Forrest talked to his mother episode, I honestly didn't appreciate. And Forrest and Sheena sort of kind of started not to like them in a way. And then they also talked about the fact that Sheena was going to get a dog collar and a dog chain. And, I guess they want to incorporate that into their sex life. And it started to make me look at Sheena in a different way as more of a dominant personality, where I don't know if she wants to try to take advantage of Forrest, but I don't know how she could because Forrest really doesn't have money like that. And I don't know how he'd be able to pay for a visa or anything of that nature. But we'll see as time goes on. But Dustin, were you surprised to see that Forrest actually proposed to Sheena? And were you surprised by Forrest's mother reaction to them giving her the news?
No, I wasn't surprised that they got he got proposed. She got proposed to. I expected it, and I also expected how the family was going to react. So I expected it to happen in this way.
Yeah, yeah, it was not a surprise whatsoever. I honestly was surprised when Forrest got down on one knee. I didn't know that it was going to happen on this episode, but I was surprised at the timing of it. I wasn't surprised that he actually did it, but I'm surprised that he did it when he did do it. I thought it would be closer towards the end of the season, but we'll see what happens. Maybe we're getting to the end of their story on this season, and as we bring new people in, I don't know if we're going to get new couples along with the lease on this season.
Mm.
I would love to. But we'll see what happens with them later. Final and my favorite part of this episode, which is Ziad and Emma. So Emma just finished revealing to Ziad that she was in a relationship when she contacted Ziad initially, and the time that she ghosted him was the time that she had gotten engaged by this other man from the same area that he's from. Let me see where he's from Morocco. He's in Morocco as well.
Mm.
So Ziad begins to say that Emma has been lying to him a whole lot while she's been in Morocco. And needless to say, Ziad breaks up with Emma. And I said this in
Hallelujah.
our previous review, Dustin. I said
Yeah.
that I feel as though the reason why Emma was meeting up with her ex fiance is because Ziad had broken up with her. And I was thinking that was like a 30% chance that had happened. But I was so elated that he did it. And he did it so calmly. He didn't raise his voice whatsoever. Emma tried to string him along a little bit. She tried to say, well, you're a liar too. And for you to take this one little thing and break up with me for it, like Emma, for you to think that you being in a relationship with someone else, getting engaged to someone else while you were in relationship with Ziad is a little thing, lets me know a whole lot about Emma. And then Emma goes on to cry. I do believe the tears might have been genuine, emphasis on the might have. And she says that, things never work out for her in her relationships. She always gets broken up with. And Emma has to take a look back at her actions and see why it is that her relationships never work out. Emma is the common denominator. And when Ziad took off his microphone, called a ride, said that he's leaving Emma, and Ziad told Emma, go call your ex-boyfriend and tell him to come get you. And Ziad just did not care whatsoever. And I was just so elated with that because I never felt that Emma deserved Ziad. Even though she would say all these nice things, oh, you're so romantic. Oh, you're doing this and you're doing that for her, for me. But for her to say to Ziad, oh, well, you're a liar too. And do you want to tell everyone how we had sex and all this stuff? And Ziad didn't even respond to it. He said, keep talking, all this stuff. He wasn't giving her the time of day. And I've never been so happy with something like this happening on 90 Day Fiance before. And the fact that Ziad didn't blow up in her face sort of kind of made it like not that eventful, but it was still eventful at the same time for me because I was so happy that it happened. So Dustin, were you expecting for Ziad to break up with Emma? And were you surprised at Emma's reaction, her blowing up on Ziad and revealing to everyone that they had had sex, even though it would have come out anyway since she told us on camera on the previous episode? But what was your reaction to Ziad breaking up with Emma? And what was your reaction to the way that Emma was acting afterward?
I was actually expecting it. I wasn't expecting. I was expecting him to break up with her, but honestly, I didn't expect the way she acted after that. But honestly, like I said, nothing ever surprises me with any of these couples. So that's just my opinion on that situation right there. Mm-hmm.
Are you happy that Ziad has broken up with Emma?
I'm happy with it because I don't think nobody deserves to be treated like that, and I'm happy that he can be himself and be happy with somebody else.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, Dustin.
Mhm.
Ziad is such a beautiful man with beautiful eyes, beautiful lips. He has such a beautiful personality. He was taking such good care of Emma. Although Ziad has had his faults in their relationship, sort of kind of giving her mixed messages about them showing affection once she got to Morocco or whatever the case might have been. But for Emma to be in a relationship when she got into a relationship with Ziad and to ghost him once she got engaged, I don't know why she would expect anything less from Ziad's reaction. Like, I don't know why she was surprised that she got broken up with. Maybe she saw it coming and she knew exactly how to react for the cameras. I'm not sure, but I am a very happy camper that Ziad broke up with Emma.
So am
And
I. Mm-hmm.
and on these 90 Day Fiance shows, I never get what I want when it comes to these couples. And for me to get exactly what I was looking for brings me so much joy. And, it might sound bad for me to say, that I'm reveling in someone's misery. Emma will be fine. Emma will be okay. Emma just has to be a better person. Emma just has to be a better partner. Emma just has to be a better Emma. If Emma gets herself right, and she's still a young woman, she still has time to get better. But I'm not expecting her to get better necessarily. But maybe I will like seeing Emma with her ex more. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure, but. I'm so glad that Ziad broke it off with Emma because she was literally asking for it. I wasn't expecting him to break up with her. I was just hoping that he would, and the fact that he did made me such a happy camper. And I've never been so excited to talk about it on a 90 Day Fiance review in the past. Never. So I'm so happy, and I hope that during the tell-all, if Ziad does appear, because I'm not expecting him to appear with him taking off his microphone and leaving the set like he did, I don't think he wants anything to do with 90 Day Fiance ever again. But if he does appear on the tell-all, I really hope that the women on the panel, the other women on the cast, I hope that they do not disrespect Ziad's decision to break up with her and see his side of things. Because a lot of times when it comes to these 90 Day Fiance tell-alls, a lot of times the ladies kind of group together and gang up on the men. And I never like seeing that happen. So for that reason, I hope that Ziad does not come to the tell-all. But if he does, I hope everyone who's involved respects his decision to break up with Emma and sees his side of things. Because in my opinion, that is a valid reason to break up with someone. If they've been lying to you on that level, for me to be in a committed relationship with you and for you to not tell me that you were engaged to someone else while we were in a committed relationship, that is means or cause for me to break up with you immediately. And I'm
Me
so glad
too.
that he did it. And he did it in such a respectful way. He didn't call her out of her name. All he did was tell the truth, was that she was a liar. And that's how Emma has been presenting herself, as a liar. So I cannot wait to see the next episode. So Dustin, before we get out of here, why don't you share with the good folks your social media contacts real quick?
Sure. My social media contacts are Dustin Butler 700, and my Facebook is Dustin Butler. As always, I want to thank Jonathan and my whole entire team for being here for me as always, and when I needed them the most. So thank you very much, Jennifer, Tyrone, and Jonathan as well. Thank you very much.
And Dustin, I have to tell you that I've really enjoyed you appearing on Unveiled Vibrations Lives the last 2 weeks that I've seen you on there. I've loved seeing your interaction with Tyrone on his show. I just love seeing you there. And I love that you have a platform to speak about the Savannah Guthrie's mother's kidnapping case. I love all the information that you brought to that event, and I just love seeing you on Unveiled Vibrations. It's awesome that you have a platform to express your feelings about that particular case.
Yes, I will be there. I will be there next week. I'll be there on Wednesday once again, and I have more information on the case. So everybody needs to tune in on the case because everything's getting pretty serious on the situation here. Mm-hmm.
It is, absolutely. You guys can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is JoJo_speaks3020. My Facebook is Jonathan Lee. My email is WilliamJonathanLee@gmail.com. My Cash App is $Jonathan Lee 07. That's $JONATHANLEE07. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Be sure to join me every Thursday night at 8 p.m. for my live Hot Topics and Social Commentary show. I go live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. with my sister Prophetic Fire Reiki, as well as our friend Bianca Edwards. And shout out to Bianca. She's a little bit under the weather, so please send out your prayers for Bianca. She's on bed rest currently, and so yeah, she is okay. She's just she's just a little bit sick, and so I just hope that she gets better. So please send out your prayers for Bianca. But join us on Thursday night at 8 p.m. for my live Hot Topics and Social Commentary show. Also, be sure to join us next week, same time, same place, same beautiful faces for our review on 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days, Season 8, Episode 12. Love you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Love you guys.